Hi, I'm Sean O'Mealy. I made these objects behind me and have this wonderful opportunity to show them because of the likes of Abby Kreuzer and Gundiga Stevens. I remember her maiden name. So a treat, always a treat to do this. These objects behind me are made of wood and then painted. I get an idea in my head and I figure out a way to do it. I'm not really making personal expression in the way it is commonly done. It is an expression of my brain and thinking, but it's not sort of a frantic mix of emotions. It's a kind of pared down, considered approach to the object and the way it communicates. So I'm very interested in making objects that do communicate to anybody. I often reference things in popular culture, such as books, or guns, or candy. But I do something else to it because I have an agenda to invoke creative thought and to claim some space, to say that it's the right thing to do, and to encourage other people to do it. Since I don't know who's going to encounter these things, I make them for any person of any age and any culture, largely. So even to the point of taking a book, such as any of these, and putting the spine on the back side of the book from our Western thinking. This is actually an almond carved out of wood. An almond is native to the Eastern Hemisphere. And in the Eastern Hemisphere, books are read in this way, from front to back. Okay. In the Western Hemisphere, cultural practice is mostly the opposite of that. I don't know the history of that, why that diverged, but the pecan is a Western Hemisphere nut, and the spine is on the left side, which is common and familiar to people who have never questioned that. But I like to evoke some questioning. Here's a book with an ear on the front of the book. This is the back of the book. The spine is on the right. This is one of my favorites in the show. The ear is carved out of wood. It's all wood. It's great. I love it. Wood. So the idea for the book as an object on the wall came to me a long time ago. It was a sort of surrealist idea. I've been doing books for years and years, maybe 15 or 20 years. And taking a book out of its normal context, which is to see it this way or this way on a shelf, and change it up, defy gravity in the normal sense, in the familiar sense, and put it on the wall, I'm doing something that causes the viewer to reconsider that object. I think there's value in that. I mean, you can look at lots of paintings of the landscape, your head almost never moves, doesn't bob around much. But if you see something like this, as you're walking past, you might just turn your head to say, wait a minute, that's not Pikes Peak, what's that? So that's a trick to get people to stop and consider. So the books, I have a reverence for objects. The book is an object. I'm taking the object of our familiarity and I'm changing some of the context. And I'm using that to frame other objects, other sculptures on the face of that book. Most of us are very familiar with books. So I'm doing that with all of these things. I'm playing with the process. When you see a book, you read a cover, you read the title. I'm not offering titles to these things other than to call this one Black Light Bulb and a Knot. And this is Ear. These are colorful bumps. But you might be engaged with considering, is this a commentary on the book, the content of the book, the message of the book? I'm not getting that specific with it. Some of these reference things I've done throughout my career, like objects like this in larger scale. I've carved ears for years. I like that. Ears for years. We're a rock band. And I'm just playing. I entertain myself as I go. And so here's an idea. There are a lot of books about religion, a lot of teachings and books. All of humankind's knowledge can be compressed in a book. You don't know that it's not compressed into this book. But this book, sometimes difficult to see, and depending on the light, has the infinity symbol in Czechoslovakian rhinestone glass. This book, because it's symmetrical in this way, this can be, intentionally, can be hung this way or this way. They just hang on a nail on the wall. Sometimes there are things in the back of the book that I want you to discover, like lining up the hole. We'll just set this here. What you can do this. You can set this here. But here's a book of a popsicle. I love this book. It's just so happy, fun. And on the back, there's a little popsicle there, which I'm going to try to hang on a nail right here. Yeah. And here's a book. These books are called Book in the Corner. And you can't read them. Why would somebody do that with a book? I don't know. But I saw this opportunity to construct something that would support the book in such a way. It communicates just as they intend. It's a book in the corner, facing the corner. We're not allowed to read it. It's punished, perhaps. The content is under punishment. But solving that problem presented me this opportunity. So I've been making these things a few years, and they are held together with magnets. You can hear them snap back in place. So maybe the book contains a secret, conceals a secret. It's up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. And then on books, you're doing okay on time? Okay, you can edit that out. On books, this is something I've done for a long time too. It's a book of answers. Sometimes I call it the book of questions. It has two spines on either side. So, again, maybe all of the knowledge of humankind is contained in this book. You know, the book it represents, but we can't access it. So it's a little clever, but it's metaphorical too, about oftentimes, I used to teach art, and students would love it if I just told them the recipe for success. Here's how you get an A. Here's how trees turn into art. And some of that I can hint about, or something might spill out of my mouth, but I don't really have solid answers. I have some suggestions. You've got to go find it. You've got to go find it. And then lastly, I'll talk about this book. So this book is titled, you'd think it's titled Two Guns, but it's called The Wild Wild West. And I made it specifically for this show because I wanted to include this jar of candy poppers. This candy poppers, for only 10 cents, It's a jar full of 25 of these little guns. These guns don't have triggers, but they have these little buttons that pop in and out. They don't, the bullet never leaves the gun. It feels really nice in the hand. Everyone is different. There are 25 of them. You and your friends and your family members can play with these things. They're not made of candy. But I wanted to comment on gun culture in the US, which, it's just a commentary. The book relates to these books, but also reaches into the guns. These guns pop off. Also, same story. You can't get this out. And it's something on the back I'll show you, including some putty and some bullet holes painted on. This is very secure, Abby. Good job. I am a touch monkey. I did toy inventing for years. I was very focused on people's interactions with objects, how the object catches light in the room, how it communicates that it's there, and hopefully to bring somebody in close to it because of the shape or some thematic elements, some anatomy that invites the viewer to engage with it, like a small child, but also a grown-up. So that thing that leads to touch is one of the most affirming things I can do. I think touch is the most important sense we have. We can figure out ways of living without all of our other senses, but without touch, without some contact, skin contact, a small infant will wither and die. So human interaction, the touch of the flesh of the tree, is something really important. So some ulterior motives, whilst being clever, whilst being concerned with craft, whilst using renewable resources, and using what I learned in the toy business and through living. This is what I'm concerned with. And I hope you've been enjoying it. And feel free to ask permission when you come in and see if Abby or Gundy will let you explore these objects. Thank you.